Hello, welcome back to another episode of the No BS Human Design Podcast. Today we're talking about easily my favorite center within the body graph. If you're watching here on YouTube, you'll be able to see my body graph up as an example. And the sacral center is this little one that is the second square from the bottom. And for me, it looks like a tan color. And this is where we house creativity, energy, sexual creativity, sexual energy, procreation. All of this comes from the sacral center. The sacral is what makes a generator type. If you have this defined, and since I'm a manifesting generator, you will see that I have it defined in my body graph. If it is open or undefined, you are either a manifestor, a reflector, or a projector. So if you don't have your chart, you can pull it up right on my website, adrianakeefe.com. That way you can better understand what information pertains to you as we move through this information. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show, where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. The sacral is my favorite because for me, it was the first that I was really able to feel in my body graph and understand. And I even created an entire program out of healing the sacral center after I went through functional burnout, which was literally diagnosed by a hormonal nutritionist. It was years in the making, and it is still taking years to come back to its full healing, I guess, activity. I don't know if activity is the right word, but I can sense really quickly if I am moving out of the health of my sacral center, because I feel like I'm still teetering on the edge after that burnout. But the fact that I was able to so much more easily understand what the sacral is when it's blocked or unhealthy makes it that much more better in the way that I can, that much more better. You guys, this is my first recording after I did the 100-mile ruck endurance event for charity. I literally have like ice on my knees right now, and I can't believe I'm sitting upright, but I like needed to get out of bed. I was in bed for 3 days. I needed to get out of bed. And so I don't think my words are still my words are still not the most accurate, but I digress. So sacral is just my favorite overall because I am very connected to it now, but it wasn't always the case for me. I have a history of childhood abuse, among many other things that went wrong, and I was very disassociated from my body. So, of course, that led me into functional burnout because I didn't know how to feel my sacral center when I first started my human design journey. So now that's what I do with people in Revive Your Sacral, which is kicking off again. The next cohort starts in September. We already have a bunch of seats filled. So if you are interested in joining that program, just book a call to chat with me, completely free. We can see if it's a good fit for you to join us for that 6-month-long program. That I still have actually some people from the previous cohort joined again because they were like, I just want to keep doing this forever. So it's a really, honestly, like the first program I've ever channeled through me because I went through it and I was like, oh my God, this is an obvious thing that I can teach other people because sacral burnout is so big in our society right now. So moving deeper into the sacral. So if it is defined, it will be colored in on your chart. And it's the most powerful motor, just like a motor in a car, in the design. It gives a guidance rather than awareness. This is where that sacral yes or no comes from. If you're a generator type, your energy is through response. Something feels like a gut yes or a gut no. People all over the world have always said things like trust your gut, follow your gut. And that's actually not true for everyone. But for generator types, this is a true gut response. And we tend to be very vocal when we like or dislike something, especially like give me a good piece of pizza and I'm like, this tastes so good. Or you ask me to go out after like 9 p.m. at any point in time now, since I have like 3 kids. And I'm like, ugh, that sounds awful. It's like my face can't lie. That is like my gut response in a lot of situations. And as a defined sacral person, you really know your purpose and contribution to life by responding with a yes or a no. So, like I mentioned, it is a guidance. It's like a GPS system rather than an awareness. Your life force energy really generates through feeling lit up and feeling excited about what you're doing. So the more that you put into your sacral energy, things that really excite you, things that fuel you, it's just like a gas tank. The more you put gas into it, the more it's giving out. It's very connected to your sexual energy. If you're familiar with the chakra system, this is probably going to sound familiar for you. And really honoring it means getting more efficient through your response. The more you respond with your correct yeses and your correct nos, the more energy it's going to give you. And if you are trying to initiate and force as a generator type, the more you lose access to that power. If you're not honoring that gut yes or that gut no, if you're not using your energy wisely, this tends to lead to things like frustration or anger. Great example for that would be, especially if you're a mom in today's society, we are just so used to saying yes to everything. Join the PTO? Yes. Make brownies for something? Yes. Chaperone a dance? Yes, right? Everything is yes. Then help a friend move? Yes. We're nurturers, we're caregivers. We are constantly wanting to give. And that doesn't mean that our energy is always in support of that. So it's challenging to start to change your boundaries and change the things that you say yes or no to. But I promise you, it is so worth trying. It was very hard. I shouldn't even say was. It can still feel very hard to say no to some things. Podcast guest recordings or going to speak somewhere or whatever it is, it can feel very difficult to say no as a growing business. That being said, if my body is saying, I don't have the energy for this, I just can't. It is literally pulling from energy reserves that are not fueled, that are not really there. And this is very much of what happened when I went through functional burnout. I was still an earlier business. I mean, I'm still a pretty young business, about 3 years old, and my husband had lost his job. So I was doing anything and everything I could, and my mind was running a million miles an hour, and it was exhausting me. It literally burnt me out. I had, like, on physical lab tests, I had no cortisol. It was like the line above the no line. That's basically what my cortisol was. And then all my other hormones were a hot mess. So this shows up physically. It's not just energy we're talking about. It's not just like spirituality or mental burnout we're talking about. This is like real physical burnout. And practicing saying yes or no to things, of course, is going to bring challenges within relationships you're in, not just business. But if you were just to try a little bit at a time and see how that changes your energy, then you can start adding in more boundaries and saying yes or no to things correctly based on the energy that you have. Now, the not self of the defined sacral, this is very much having the poor boundaries and saying yes and forcing yourself to have the energy because you know that you're an energetic being, overworking, minimizing your enthusiasm about something. This is also very today's society because we're so afraid to make someone else feel a certain way about something that we love and enjoy doing. So we will minimize how excited we feel. But the true healthy sacral is one that loves talking, loves doing, loves talking and doing the things that really lights it up. So how can you lean more into allowing yourself to be enthusiastic and excited about some things, even when other people don't share that same excitement with you? Remember, it's that gas tank. It's going to fuel you back up to keep being excited, to allow yourself that full fire in your belly that you feel about the things that make you feel that way. As weird or random as it might be, let yourself feel it. And when you continue to practice your energetic boundaries, you continue to listen to that yes or no, of course, take an authority into your decision too. I'm emotional authority, so I have a gut yes or no. And then for larger decisions, bigger decisions, I will take my time and I will reassess over the next few days or couple weeks, depending on what the decision is. But that sacral is literally telling you yes or no, I have the energy for this, or this excites me right now in that moment. So the more that you allow yourself to live in the health of the sacral center, the more energy you're going to get. You're just going to be able to work from like 6 a.m. to midnight if you really wanted to on something that lit you up, because you have that energy where that's the builder energy of the world. That's what generator types are here to do with that sacral center. Now, if you have an undefined sacral center, your energy is dependent upon the people that you're around. And you amplify and reflect back the life force, the sexual force, the work energy of other people. But that's not to say that you don't have your own sense of energy within your sacral center. It's really important to practice working in your own aura, in your own energy, and see what that feels like. Do you tend to work really well for 2 hours and then you need a break? Maybe it's only 2 hours a day. Maybe it's 2 hours and then an hour break, and then you come back to it. Or maybe it's like really focusing on things that you're obsessing over right now after the actual quote work is done, and then you just go into your studies or whatever it is that feels like not work after that. It's learning your own rhythms in your own aura, and then playing with the energy of other people when you're around them. If there's a project that you really want to get done, maybe you do sit with your generator friend and you're like, hey, can I borrow some of that sacral energy? But you also have to take note of when it's time to allow yourself to cut off from that sacral, because you can overuse it and you can stress your sacral and become burnt out. Remember, you're reflecting back that other person's life force and workforce. So your environment and the people that you're around are important. You're being conditioned 70% of the time. 70% of the world has a defined sacral. So when you're the minority, take that into account with how you are currently, quote, working or doing things with your kids or whatever it is. If especially if you're a stay-at-home parent, and you're like, Jesus, I wish I could be this on the go Pinterest mom all day, but maybe you don't have a defined sacral. And after lunch, you're like, I just give them some TV time, some, hey, Miss Rachel, who here watches Miss Rachel with their kids, or tablet time so I can rest. I mean, these kids are growing up with AI anyway. Like, is limiting their screen time really going to make that much of a difference? But I digress. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's really about understanding your periods of work and your periods of rest. You're not designed to work for long periods of time. So like I said, you might prefer to work in spurts or work less in general. Allow yourself to be supported. Ask for help. Delegate. Allow yourself to go deep and spend time on things that you're obsessing over, maybe after you've already done the things that take a lot of, quote, work energy out of you. Enjoy the ride of other people's sacral energy when you're around it, and then cleanse it from your body, cleanse it from your aura after. Some great cleansing. I love Insight Timer. It's an app, and so much of it is free. There's a paid version too, but like so much of this app is free that I love it so much. You can do any cleansing visualizations or meditations. You can even just sit there and practice going through your centers in your mind's eye, if that feels good, and just like bathing them or washing them, or maybe doing some breath work, something to cleanse your energy after, so that you can release other people's and come back to your own aura and begin to practice learning when enough is enough, especially when it comes to working or exerting something that takes that powerful workhorse kind of energy. So the not self of the undefined sacral is not knowing when enough is enough, pressuring yourself to work harder, to overcommit, becoming overwhelmed and exhausted by other people's energies, not doing that shedding or that cleansing. Maybe longer work hours are making you feel more valuable. There's an incredible book. Oh God, I think it's just called Manifestor. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it. But it's written by a manifestor, and she talks all about the manifestor cycles, where they'll be in big bursts of energy and creation, and then big bursts of rest, and how they can make not just as much money when they're in rest, but even more because they're living by their design. Oh my God, that's going to kill me that I don't remember the name of that book. I think it's just called Manifestor. I can't remember. But remember that time is not linked to actual dollars when it comes to energy. And so this is very much something we work through in Revive Your Sacral, because the more that you're living by your design, the more you're naturally calling in and co-creating with the universe for the things that you want in life, the things that you desire, the things that you're deserving of. So really take some time to dig into that question. Are these longer work hours making you feel more valuable? Or is it longer work hours because you don't have enough help? Maybe it's time to start understanding what it would look like to hire help, especially as like a projector or reflector in these situations. So remember to decondition from beliefs, energies, anything that's surrounding you that might make you feel like you're having to hustle and go and do more in order to be valuable or just to, I guess, be successful in general. And practice redefining what success means to you. Give yourself permission to succeed in a way that takes a lot less hours than others. Remember that the generator types have that defined sacral because they are, in fact, the builders. So if the manifestors are the initial sparks, like they set the fire, and then the generators build on it, and the mani-gens build on it and expand it. And the projector's energy is here to tweak it, make it more efficient. And the reflectors are here to reflect back all that work and be like, this is great, this is not, this is what we could do better, right? So remember that if you're undefined in the sacral area, your job isn't technically supposed to be about constantly building. So how can you reevaluate what that looks like for you? And start to notice in general, undefined or defined, does your sacral feel easy to connect to? What does it feel like for you? When someone asks you a question, especially if you have a defined sacral, what does your body tell you? For me, it helps me a lot to close my eyes and see what my body says. Do I contract inward and kind of hold my breath for a minute? Or do I expand? And does it feel exciting and like a weight has been lifted off of me? And if you don't have a defined sacral, what does it feel like to know that you're done working, that you're done exerting? What does it feel like to know that you want to work, that you want to exert energy on something? Practice that. Maybe that's your journal entry for each day for the next 30 days and see what comes up for you. And of course, my group is here to support you in whatever way, shape, or form. We are literally reviving your sacral center. So if you're feeling like you're at a plateau in business and career as a mom, if you're feeling disconnected socially or from your work or from your sexual energy, from your creativity, if you can't think of a goddamn podcast episode to like save your life, these are all signs that your sacral just needs a little bit of love. And this is just a back and forth, a shift through your evolution. We go a little bit higher on the consciousness and awareness, and then we get knocked down a little bit because that's just humanity, right? Being a human. And then we go higher and higher, and then we learn and grow again. So please give yourself grace. There's nothing to judge yourself or be shameful of with this. This is the way we've been raised around society. And my work is here to support you in whatever way, shape, or form we can. All right. I trust this was helpful. Feel free to reach out on Instagram or connect for a call, and we can talk all about the program. I love you so much. Thank you for being here.